Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Newsline Zoom. Yes, one more time, you've got to put up with Zoom, the Zoom technology, and we promise to come back live soon. Now then, this evening, our guest is no stranger to the program, no stranger to the network either, Mr. Chandima Weerakkody, Member of Parliament, former Cabinet Minister, and so on. Very good evening to you, Mr. Weerakkody. Thank you very much for being on Newsline.
Good evening, Faraz. Wish you a very happy New Year as well.
Thank you, and very happy and safe New Year to you and to your family, to Nanga too, and for all her help on getting you online, and also to your constituents. Now then, Mr. Weerakkody, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has recently decided to dispense with the services of Mr. Susil Premajayanta. Is this a good way to control all the troubles, or part of the troubles anyway, and to get rid of the people who are being vociferous in their criticism of the actual factual situation in the country?
Well, I don't think of that as a good positive thing to have done by the government, because Susil Premajayanta, being a senior member who's experienced, educated, learned, a person whose experience, talent, education could have been made use of for the country, to the government, and especially to the education of this country. I don't think, once again, getting rid of him from the portfolio is a positive move.
And the former president, Maithripala Sirisena, pointed out that there were others who had hit bigger sixes, as he put it, than did Susil Premajayanta, who was merely answering a question posed by a member of our fraternity, the journalist, about the rising prices of, the agricultural produce. So Mr. Sirisena said that there's another member who's hit two greater sixes than that, but those people are still, they're still being kept within government. And we also had Mr. Azad Sali today pointing out that there was another minister who'd apparently taken a pistol into a prison complex and so on and so forth, been threatening, and that person still continues to be a minister. Now, it seems to me, Mr. Weerakkody, that there is an anomalous nature in what is happening in governance.
Well, if I may look at it as an ordinary member of the general public with general intelligence, the yardstick that the government would have used would have been first priority to those who acted in breach of cabinet collective responsibility, those who, having been in the cabinet, those who challenge cabinet decisions in the Supreme Court. But it was not done so. So a lot of people, we are elected members. So what we hear from the people is as to why those who went against the cabinet, seeking relief to the Supreme Court, were not given priority.
Mr. Weerakkody, when you say these things, my mind goes back to just before the war, or perhaps just after. We had the former president, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, who said something on the lines that, look, you're either with, there are only two types of people in this country. Either you're with us or you're traitors. To me, what you just said sounds remarkably similar to what was said several years ago. It looks like Sri Lanka has not progressed anywhere.
Well, as I see, President Mahinda Rajapaksa's governance was completely different. Like in our recent history, in the recent past, the highest as a country that we have achieved is eradication of terrorism. In order to achieve that, President Mahinda Rajapaksa could bring together the Deputy Leader of LTT from one side, the Hello Rume, including several Buddhist monks who were elected from the other side. Vimal Veeravansa of JVP, Rauf Hakim of and the team from the Muslim Congress, G.L. Pires, Gamini Lokuge, Johnston Fernando, Mandulu Gunawardena, and a whole heap of them from the UNP. And so many others like the LSSP, Communist Party, such other parties together in order to achieve what was expected by the people. So with a vast differences of opinion, that government worked together and he could keep the team flocked together. So that was that is one instance where we could get together and win something which is important for the country. So I think we should right now should think of that kind of governance and try and bring everyone together for the benefit of the country, because I think we are like the way we are hit now is, I think, a severe hit compared to how we were damaged due to terrorism. And financially, economically, we had to achieve we had to fight a huge hurdle. So to fight that, the government the leaders should try and not get rid of those who are together, try and get those who are not together also to the same fold.
Now, when you say this, and I don't want to be uncharitable at all, so I shall mention it, and that is this. We mustn't forget, of course, the role that one Ranil Wickremesinghe and the role he played in getting Mr. Karuna to join the ranks and come to Colombo and leave the eastern side of the country without a war, really. Otherwise, Sri Lanka's forces would have had to fight two wars in two different sections, in the north and in the east. Having said that, recently we had some members of the opposition joining up and talking to each other in the hope of putting a grand alliance of an opposition together. Because obviously there is a section of this country that are deeply unhappy about the governance structure that is currently being practiced and played out.
Well, I don't believe in obstructing affairs of the government at the moment, because this is a time that as a country we are faced with a lot of difficulty, hardship, challenge. So I believe the getting together of the opposition parties also should be to show the right way towards success to the government, because it is the government that's governing the country. So we cannot, I don't think anyone wants to take over this country at a time like this. It will convert our economy to a more fragile situation from what it is. So if the opposition is getting together to support the best possible way to guide the government, certainly I would see that as a very good move.
And Mr. Weerakkody, there is some speculation now that Parliament has been prorogued, and the restart of the Parliament will be, I believe, on the 18th of January. There's some speculation that various people will lose their jobs or get changed around and so on. Are you hoping that you too will be in the running for a job?
Not at all under this setup. But because I was not considered for anything, not even to chair a committee, not even to be a member of a committee other than to be a member of Energy Ministry committee. So that means they probably the people who decided as to who can be responsible, can hold responsibility, who can be made use of, who can be trusted. I have not been there in their books. So as a person who cannot be trusted according to their terms, I wish not to be there under any circumstances. I would prefer to be out and represent the people who elected me and give the guidance to the government based on what people expect from the government, so that the government will be in a position to deliver for the betterment of the public and the country.
Will you then consider joining the opposition party?
No, I mean, I don't have to join any party. I'm with the people. So I'm with the People's Party. I am playing the role of an elected member of parliament. I have got elected for the fourth time this time. Mm-hmm. So I consider myself, and people consider myself, as a senior member of parliament in this parliament, though I'm a backbencher. I think I can deliver what is expected by the people the best possible way, by being outspoken of Sudan.
Now then, Mr. Weerakkody, can I ask you this? There are various problems going on in Sri Lanka right now. We still don't have gas. People are, gas has become a sort of searchable commodity. People are going around searching for gas, queuing up for gas. So if you're a family, your wife's probably in one queue, and the man is in another queue, and the grandmother and the grandfather and everybody else will be in all sorts of different queues. So we're heading towards being a nation of queuers. In between all this, the Colombo Stock Exchange today closed at a record 13,190 points, which is an absolutely amazing piece of happening. How do you juggle that? How do you understand that scenario?
Well, I'm not an economist. I am to give a professional answer to that, but at the same time, with the little knowledge that I have, of course, about the gas and the shortage of gas cylinders not being available has become a huge issue, and that is an issue that the government has created on its own. So, had they been able to take decisions prudently, having consulted professionals, experts who are from that area, I don't think today we are facing such situation. But at the same time, we don't see any business that's thriving in this country. We don't see investment coming into the country. We don't see any company that's prospering other than the healthcare equipment companies, and probably not even the companies that are into tourism. So, other than the companies into health industry, there is no other company that's seriously doing well on manufacturing, exports. But I, of course, don't understand in such scenario how can the stock market perform unless there is some unseen talent of those who are involved in it. So we must be I think as general public, you must be very careful, because we have had such bubbles coming up in the past also, and the bubbles we have seen bubbles bursting in our stock market and crashing, with a few people benefiting and the ordinary people who are not really into the picture, who are not really into the game in such in their terminology, had been affected. So you have to be very careful as a country and as individuals of this moves. I mean, if certainly due to no such hidden agenda, if the stock market is doing well, we must really appreciate for those who are into it.
Now, just ahead of a break, which is in a couple of minutes, do you think that the Dara Mudalalis, the firewood Mudalalis, they must be, licking their, smacking their lips and going, wow, because they're making money? But really, are we in such a situation that our country is going backwards by several decades, going back to the days of firewood?
One may interpret it in such way that we are into organic uh, world. So, and at the same time, cinnamon stick, which was very difficult to be sold.
Yeah.
Now we can sell for 10 rupees a stick or even more.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that way, some people who had not been benefiting for a long time, for maybe decades, have now started suddenly being the beneficiaries of the new trends. And we can see firewood in supermarkets. So maybe we are getting into a new world of organic cooking.
Well, there might
And
be.
I heard recently a friend of mine told me that they used firewood and the rice that was cooked was very tasty.
Wow, I was about to say.
And you have to look at it positively. This
Right.
guy, my friend, who has been a strong supporter of our party, could interpret it that way a couple of days back, and he said he had more than what he usually eat due to the fact that it was cooked with firewood.
Well, I suppose soon we may see a new type of rice and curry on our menus, and that will be the smoked rice and curry. You know, it'll be smoky rice and a smoky curry and a smoky whatever. So I suppose come on down, tourism, and you can eat the world's first smoky curries and rice and so on. But on that note,
we could probably attract very soon those who used to visit Rwanda those days because they don't have that flavor there because they are rapidly developing otherwise. So we may be, if we can canvas that slot who probably were visiting such countries, we will thrive in tourism, our tourism industry will benefit.
Well, on that note, on the prospect of having smoked rice and curry and so on, let's go for a short break, shall we? And take a peek at this evening's headlines from the wonderful primetime news team for 9 o'clock. Let's take a look and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Welcome back to Newsline Zoom. I'm in conversation with Member of Parliament representing the SLPP, I believe, is Mr. Chandima Weerakkody. Welcome back to the program, Mr. Weerakkody. Now then, what do you think is happening? You say that you don't even want a position, even if it's given to you, and so on. But what's happening politically? Is this government staring in its face the beginning of the end?
Well, it's up to them, to those who are taking decisions in this government. They still have time. They have completed 2 years and few months. So the president has another 2 years and a few months. He has half his term to rectify whatever was done in such way that are not acceptable to the people, and get on to the right track and deliver in such way that people will be satisfied. People had a lot of expectation from this government. People thought that there will be a system change. People thought that there will be efficient decision making. People thought that rapid development could be seen. People thought that there will be a era of zero corruption. I hope. I heard that the president is he has decided to take the hard decisions. If he take correct decisions, at the right time, I believe we will be able to prosper as a country in time to come.
But what's this inside story about Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa? Is he ready to stay at home and write a book?
I don't know. As I understand, I don't think there is any truth in what was being circulated in media and on social media.
Mm.
I
So what
don't
you
think
say?
there is.
You have no information whether Mr. Rajapaksa, the former president, that he has any inclination of stepping down and going into retirement?
No, I personally believe that he's the only member out of the governing few members who's accessible to the public and to the elected members. So if he leaves, things will be not all that hunky dory for the government. So I think his presence has somewhat controlled the situation that the country and the elected members would have faced in his absence.
As an elected member of parliament, Mr. Weerakkody, I want to remind you, I'm sure you're aware, but let me remind you, today is the 13th anniversary of the attack on the Sirasa broadcasting studios in Depanama. 13 years, 13 years. And I'm sure no member of the public will text me asking me for the progress that has been made. But what it does indicate is that after 13 years, we are still waiting for some form of explanation, some form of proper investigation and record. What do you think? Do you think are you comfortable as elected member of parliament that Sri Lanka's rule of law is strong, robust, and needs no adjusting?
Well, that day is one of the darkest days in Sri Lankan democracy, in Sri Lankan free media. We regret being elected members of a government, of a country, where we have not been able to see any progress of how it happened, who was responsible, and the fact that no one was punished for vandalizing an independent media network, which is not acceptable under any means, under any circumstances, personally and as a nation and as government as well.
And Mr. Weerakkody, would you agree that the rule of law will play a huge role, a dominating role, a significant role in Sri Lanka's quest to attract foreign direct investment?
Absolutely. Like you look at any country that has been developed, that is now developing. Number one is the confidence that the investors have about the rule of law and the laws to protect not only the individual investor, but laws to protect the investor, laws to protect the employee, laws to protect the nation and the national interest, and the resources that the respective country owns. So when there is a solid administration where the rule of law is superior, which cannot be manhandled or interfered with by the government or anyone, individually as a group or as government, that has been the success story. The recent examples of emerging Pakistan it can be seen as one such instance. And the recent example of emerging or the rapidly developing Rwanda is another example. The textbook cases like Singapore's development, US development are cases situations that we can study to find out how we could lay down the groundwork, the legal framework to be successful in attracting investment and in progressing with our own talented people who are innovative, who are willing to invest, who are willing to invent, who are willing to start industries, who are willing to take us to another level. I think we expected a system change. We are still expecting a system change. We were talking about IT platforms, the artificial intelligence, and so on. So, but we are not yet seeing what was expected being put into practice. I believe all of us should urge the government to immediately take steps. You can't do things promptly, you know. You have to understand that that a system change has to be systematic. It has to take place step by step. But we should first lay the foundation. So, so I hope that it will be done in this country.
Well, you know, when you talk about that, what have the people got really? We've got some inept advisors to the president. We've got people who've acted probably in their self-interest and in their or for their own rights and their own benefit, for a collateral purpose. But and then we've got rats. We've got rats, and we've got deleted files. You know. Rats as in rapid antigen tests, in case somebody's thinking that I'm calling anyone a rat. But, you know, what we've got is rapid antigen tests, and we've got deleted files of potentially the huge significance and importance. And all the time, nobody's doing anything positive about it. It's all just swept under the carpet. And the better connected you are to the ruling family and the ruling party, the more likely you are to get away with it. It's from my independent point of view, that's absolutely wholly unacceptable.
Well, one has to understand we are running a government, we are developing a country, not for the benefit of our generation or the previous generation, but for the future generation, the youngsters who are below 35, who are in 20s and below. That age group people are not like us. They're very alert. They believe in dialogue, not in monologue as we are used to. They're very tech savvy. They're very alert. They won't just believe in what is heard. They will inquire into. They will research into. And they want to know as to why, as a country which is blessed with strategic location, which is blessed with a lot of people with inborn talent, which is blessed with a historic system of education where the literacy rates have been always high. The health systems have always been among the top developed countries. They are concerned as to why we have not been able to be among the developed countries. And if you go back the history, when independence was given in 1948, we were second to only Japan in this region as an economy. In 50s, Singapore took Sri Lanka as an example. Emerging Singapore took Sri Lanka as an example to be developed. But unfortunately, we haven't gone there. So we have to be able to convince them, and in order to be able to convince them, we have to be logical. We have to be able to immediately implement systems. We have to be transparent. We must be, as government, do only things that can be explainable, justified, Otherwise, the faith, trust, if we lose as a government, which is, I must say, which is happening now, which is a dangerous situation which the government should take note of immediately to take steps and regain confidence. It's going to be disastrous. So,
just as we finish, can I ask you a very quick question? Do you expect that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will make some strong moves to strengthen the team of governance? Will he drop those who haven't performed and who are at the butt end of all sorts of criticism and so on? Do you think he's going to take strong, decisive, incisive action?
well, I think that is what is expected by the people. I don't know whether he'll do it. It's up to him to do. If he understands, he has intelligence service. He's very fond of military and intelligence service. So if he can find out as to how, not what we do, we are very open about things, as to how people feel at the grassroots, as to how the intellectuals in this country feel, as to how the professionals feel, as to how those who are into industries are affected, as to how investors, especially local and foreign investors, feel, as to how especially those who are in the plantation sector are now feeling. I believe if he is properly briefed about how people feel, how sad they are, how heartbroken they are, because a lot of people, 6.9 million supported him, how deeply heartbroken they are. If he understands, I hope still there is opportunity for him to put the government onto the right track and drive it towards development.
Well, on that note, it's a sobering thought. I do hope that on behalf of the Republic, I hope that President Rajapaksa gets it right. And who cares about those guys who are making deals? They just need to be chopped off and dropped in the nearest dustbin. And next week, we'll bring out the dustbin again. But in the meantime, Chandima Weerakkody, thank you very much for being on Newsline Zoom. We really do appreciate your marvelous efforts to get here. And also to Nanga, your technical assistant this evening. Thank you very much. And on that note, as always, I'll leave you with the primetime news, and God bless you.